Previously on Unconventional Expositor.
Did somebody order one animatronic in pristine condition?
But I didn't order!
You're welcome.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos.
Hey, it turns out we shipped the animatronic to the wrong address. We apologize for this inconvenience and we would like to take it back.
About that... Oh, I'm broke.
Hello there, whoever, wherever, whatever you are. I'm the Unconventional Expositor, and it's my job to sit in a chair and talk about stuff. Or at least I would if I didn't have to sell my house. All I could keep was my laptop, and I got nothing to talk about, so I'm pretty screwed. Humanity was a mistake. Well, now I gotta talk about the abomination I witnessed.
For those of you blissfully unaware, between the release of the original Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, George Lucas came up with the idea of a Star Wars movie that was, in his words, just about the Wookiees, nothing else. I have my respects for Mr. Lucas, but how exactly is that a good idea? Now, to be fair, a side character spin-off can work, look no further than Puss in Boots 2, but this concept sounds more like an episode of a TV show than a movie. Instead of releasing this Wookiee movie theatrically, Lucasfilm decided it should air on television, which should be a pretty big indicator of its quality. According to producer Gary Kurtz, the original script was better than what we got, but due to time limitations, the script never went through, and eventually, we ended up with... On November 17th, 1978. The special turned its ugly face on unsuspecting families and traumatized a whole generation before fading from public knowledge forever. Until bootlegged copies resurfaced on YouTube to make our lives a living hell. It was so bad that Mark Hamill never watched it all the way through, Harrison Ford refuses to acknowledge its existence, Anthony Daniels called it a turd, and Carrie Fisher, who received the copy, said she wanted to have it for parties so people would leave. Even George Lucas said, "If I had the time and a sledgehammer, I would track down every copy of that show and smash it."
Forgive me, Cranky. You know it's bad when he never said anything that harsh about the sequel trilogy.
Since the special only aired once, I wouldn't blame anyone for thinking it's just some urban myth, like a story made up to scare the children.
But it's all too real. Just like Bigfoot, and Chupacabra, and the monster under our beds, and every other urban legend.
The special is considered to be valuable, and for all the wrong reasons. There are very few physical copies remaining, and I wouldn't have been able to make this video if it wasn't recorded on VHS and posted on YouTube. Guess I was one of the lucky ones, cause JonTron had to fly all the way to Skywalker Ranch to get a copy.
Anyways, enough history. Time to get this out of my system.
The special begins with Han Solo and Chewbacca headed to the Wookiee planet of Kashyyyk, to visit Chewie's family for Life Day, which I'm assuming is supposed to be the Star Wars equivalent of Christmas, while being chased by 2 Imperial Star Destroyers. Then we get the intro credits, where instead of seeing the usual title crawl, we get all the actors and their respective characters.
Because as we all know, PCB stands for Princess Carrie is beautiful.
Okay, I'll admit that joke is pretty good. At first I was thinking, okay, maybe this isn't as bad as I thought. Then my mind immediately changed as soon as we cut to Kashyyyk. I guess Star Wars has always had this thing with the stupidest names known to mankind, but anything that sounds like Kazoo is going too far. Now we're introduced to Chewie's family, Itchy, Mala, and Lumpy. Again, what is with the names coming straight from a children's cartoon? And a really bad one at that. George Lucas has said that Star Wars is for kids, but it's obviously not for toddlers. For the next 12 or so minutes, we just watch the Wookiees meander and talk to each other without subtitles! This wouldn't be such a problem if we could at least understand what any of them are saying, and I'm sorry to repeat myself, but it goes on for 12 minutes and a 90-minute special! We see Lumpy watching his hologram dance or circus performance for some reason. I have no idea what this has to do with the plot. And then the family realizes that Han and Chewie are taking longer than usual to arrive, so they check on Luke Skywalker to see if he knows what's going on. And he sounds oddly unconcerned for someone whose aunt and uncle were murdered by the Empire in the last movie. Then the family contacts a local trader in the middle of dealing with an Imperial trooper. The dealer offers the trooper a few items before he speaks with the family, only for him to know nothing of Han and Chewie's whereabouts. Next we get a scene of Darth Vader, sourced from reused footage, my favorite! And we cut back to Kashyyyk, where in order to prepare a meal, Mala watches this instructional video featuring a 4-armed Harvey Korman cook bantha rump. I think this special came out of a bantha's rump.
Stir, stir, stir. Stir, 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 stir. Very nice. Now stir, whip, stir, whip, 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 stir. stir. Stir, whip, whip, stir. Stir, whip, beat, stir. That's not right. I'm sorry. Stir, whip, stir, whip, stir, beat, stir, whip, stir, beat. Coming along nicely. Starting to have a fine aroma. Stir.
This was a moment where I began to question my existence. How was this made? We're not even a third through the special, and I'm already losing my mind! Then we see Han and Chewie trying to get past the blockade. And there's no way this is the real Han Solo, because if this were the real Han Solo, he would have annihilated all the TIE fighters by now, because they can't aim for I bet the TIE fighters are piloted by stormtroopers. Mullet and Itchy receive a message from the Empire that tells them about the blockade around Kashyyyk. Then, Son Dan, the traitor from earlier, shows up along with a music box, a MIDI transmitter, and a proton pack for this VR-like device called the Mind Evaporator. My mind feels evaporated watching this. Itchy sits down with this device and watches this sort of drug-induced fever dream that goes on for almost 7 minutes. In it, we see Diane Carroll speak to the viewer in an oddly sexual way. Perfect for kids! Then we see Leia and C-3PO working at some kind of office, which I understand this was made on a relatively low budget, but you cannot convince me that this is supposed to be some sort of rebel base. Bella calls them to see if they know anything about Han and Chewie's whereabouts. I need to say something. We're about a third through the special. We see Han and Chewie fighting against the Stormtrooper-piloted TIE fighters, which should be no problem for the duo. If they can escape the Death Star, this should not be a problem at all. We're over a third through the special, and they've made practically no progress. What are they doing between these scenes? And as with Luke, Leia sounds very unconcerned for someone whose home planet was situated in the last movie. To be fair, it's not the actors at fault. They were just given an awful script to go with, and they did their best, so any criticism of their performances is not directed at them. Then, Han finally lands on Kashyyyk, but at the same time, the bad guys arrive at the home to violate the 4th Amendment of the United States Constitution. I just want to say, if these were canon-consistent Wookiees, these Imperials would get their asses handed to them. The traitor then gets this black helmeted guy to watch a Jefferson Starship performance. The more I watch this special, the more I begin to question my own sanity. Lumpy gets to watching a cartoon on a computer screen, and we get to the only good part of the special. We get to watch this 8-minute cartoon about one of the Falcon crew's previous adventures, and despite having nothing to do with the rest of the plot, it's the only watchable part of the special. I'll just go ahead and say it. This part is actually good. It features Luke, Han, 3PO, and R2 searching for a talisman, and they crash land on some water moon called Panna, and meet none other than Boba Fett. That's right, this is Boba Fett's first appearance in all of Star Wars. Boba rescues the team from some sort of sea monster and joins the crew. Han, and eventually Luke, are infected by some sort of sleeping virus caused by the talisman, and it won't go away until they're cured. Boba and Chewie go to a nearby Empire-occupied city to get a cure, but unsurprisingly, it's revealed that Boba Fett is working for Darth Vader. 3PO figures this out, and after Han and Luke are cured, they learn too. Boba leaves, promising they'll meet again. I just love how they portrayed Boba Fett here. He's portrayed as this guy who's not really on either side, but more as someone trying to make his way through the universe, and his voice is perfect for his character.
We'll meet again, friend.
Now we get why the segment is on Disney+. Unfortunately, that's where the only saving grace of this dumpster fire ends. The bad guys ransack the place, and they commit the most diabolical act in all of Star Wars history. This black helmeted asshole just straight up tears apart Lumpy's bantha for no reason! And we get the most emotional moment in Star Wars history. Something needs saying. These Imperials are perhaps the most incompetent incarnation of the Empire I've ever seen. Throughout the special's 90-minute runtime, they never accomplish anything. Now I know Stormtroopers are always drunk, trust me on that one, but how can there be any stakes when the villains are complete idiots? The Empire should at least send more than 4 people to search for rebel activity. Then Lumpy watches an instruction video to make some sort of translation device to fool the Imperials, featuring Harvey Korman, as what is supposed to be a malfunctioning robot. But at least get him a 3PO suit. And we go through the whole process of how the translator is made, which is of course tedious as all hell, but at least this is Harvey Korman's more tolerable role in this special. With dumb luck and bad writing, the Imperials fall for the translator trick. Then we get this transmission from Tatooine, and we get to hear the Cantina theme, automatic 20 out of 10, peak cinema! Okay, it is actually refreshing to hear the Cantina theme, reminding me that I could instead be watching a good movie rather than this acid trip.
It doesn't matter, silly. What you said is not as important as what you meant.
Oh, what did I mean?
I decided what you meant was exactly the thing I needed to hear.
Oh, what is this dialogue? Then, I kid you not, there's a musical number. There kinda was one in the mine evaporator scene, and there was a Jefferson Starship scene, but this is more of a proper musical number. It's still very bad. What is with this special and pointless musical scenes? Like in a Disney movie, a musical scene would usually be used to convey the plot in an unconventional way. Here, it does nothing! And why is there a giant rat on Tatooine? The bad guys leave, but this general guy tells one of the stormtroopers to stay in case Han comes home. The Buckethead destroys a machine and gives chase, even though he has a blaster on him. But Han Solo arrives just in time to send the idiot to the Shadowlands below. Han says hi to the family and leaves, cause this is no place for a rebel right now. Then we see, I don't know what to make of this. Can someone please explain what deep, profound message I, the Unconventional Expositor, cannot understand? And at the end of it all, we get one last musical number with Leia. And admittedly, her voice is actually pretty good.
We celebrate a day of peace.
But it should be in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, not Star Wars.
And that was a Star Wars holiday special. What the f*** guys watch? Like, I wasn't expecting anything of quality, but I was at least expecting it to be, like, so bad it's good. It wasn't even that!
I feel like I should be mad, but I'm more so just confused. How did this happen? This is by far one of the least consistent things I've ever seen. One minute it's a very bad family sitcom, the next it's a crappy musical, then it's an actual good cartoon. Mix all those together in a pot and you got the Star Wars Holiday Special. The special's biggest problem is one thing: filler. I narrowed down to the best of my ability all the scenes where the plot is actually going anywhere, and turns out only about a third of the runtime actually does anything to progress the plot. You could take all that fluff out and nothing would change. So if I felt like I skipped over a few things, it's because I had nothing to say.
And I know what you might be thinking. If I love Star Wars, why don't I just enjoy the special for what it is? The thing is, if you love something, you should still be aware of its flaws. You can't just turn your brain off and blindly praise everything that comes out.
I criticize some Star Wars media because they want more than just content. Sometimes Star Wars can legitimately leave a huge impact on someone in a positive way. As much as I love Star Wars, even I will admit it's always been more than the sum of its parts. There can't be good Star Wars without bad Star Wars, and there can't be bad Star Wars without good Star Wars. The two will exist for all eternity.
Well, looks like it's the end of this little game of mine. It was fun while it lasted, but without a house and a chair, how am I supposed to sit in a chair and talk about stuff? If only I had something that would get me enough money to buy my house back. Actually... You know what that means? The Unconventional Expositor is not over! But after what I just witnessed, I need some medication.
Hello everyone! To wrap up the first year of the Unconventional Expositor, I've decided to do something a little different. From now on, at the end of every episode, I'm gonna put everything I review on a tier list. So, I'm gonna put original Star Wars as masterpiece. Some things are a little dated, especially compared to the movie that comes right after, but it's still a classic. Oh, whoops. That was a Star Wars Holiday Special. No, that is not a masterpiece. There we go. Crash Bandicoot 1. I'll say is good. Like, not amazing or anything, but good fun for what it is. Batman Arkham Asylum. I'm gonna say it's a masterpiece. Bosses are not the best, but it still has the best atmosphere of any Arkham game so far. Five Nights at Freddy's. It was made by one person. It was like very original for the time, so it's great. It's great. Star Wars Holiday Special, almost bottom tier, but I'll just put it as liquid garbage, because it at least has a cartoon going for it.